start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Rob, would you care to lead us in prayer this morning?
So, Father, we just thank you for this morning, Lord, and all that you're about to do. Father, we thank you for guidance, wisdom, and insight. And, Father, your blessings upon this county and what we're doing here. Father, we thank you, Father, that you have come into our midst, Father, to bring about your purposes and plans. So we thank you for that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rob. Again, morning, everyone. Got quite a bit, so we're going to try to get through it as quick as possible. We all have other things going on this morning, I'm sure. First on the agenda is approval of minutes, and we have two sets of minutes. Sheila has got us caught up, and get the dates here. And I think Bob found a couple of corrections. We want to thank him for that. Okay, we have minutes going back to January the 18th. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve January 18th minutes.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. All in favor? Aye.
February 6th.
And then I have a set of minutes from February the 6th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve February the 6th minutes.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. All in favor? Aye. All right. In the matter of claims and payroll, let me get my sheet here. We have payroll at $252,256.87. Regular claims at $275.99.12, and out of cycle claims at $116,550.54. We're going to start with payroll. Dated the 20th of February, 2023, for $252,256.87. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
I have a motion by Mr. Lowell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Curry. All in favor? Aye. Next, we have the regular claims, $275,099.12. And Sheila, I'm going to assume that we've got all of our encumbrances in here now, and
Yes.
we're past that and ready to move on to the new year, basically.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve regular claims?
I make a motion to approve regular claims.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly,
I make a correction.
you go right ahead.
We have a few that I'm still working with Rachel, the highway on, out of one of the funds, but it won't change the
Minute.
ending balances.
Thank you. Out of cycle claims, and I'm just going to run through the list real quick. I've already given you the total. We've got 3 Toshiba claims, a COVID immunization, utilities, health department gas bill, Visa card 1, 2, 4, and 5, and HICOM. For again, a total of $116,550.54. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve out of cycle claims.
I have a motion by Joel. Do I hear a second? Second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. Let's see, let me get my agenda sheet. Sheila, do we have anyone here from, for the Apple Butter Festival this morning?
No, we just have the
Just want to go ahead and approve.
application. There is nowhere on your applications for signature, so can I ask permission to?
Just,
Signature
yes,
line.
please.
We just, I mean, everything is complete in the application, they've paid their fee and everything.
Gentlemen, anybody have any discussion over the Lions Club continuing the Apple Butter Festival? I know the last couple of years it's been a huge success. Glad that they brought it back to the square. Do I hear a motion to approve the event? And the dates, do we have those on here, Sheila?
Yes.
Somewhere we do.
Third page.
They've paid all of their fees.
Yes.
Let's see. It's like September 15th, 16th, and 17th. Do I hear a motion to approve the Apple Butter Festival event?
Make a motion to approve the apple butter events, pardon me.
Have a motion by Bob, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We'll just sign the bottom of this, guys. I'm still working on these claims. Trying to keep things rolling here. Dusty,
Yes,
you're next, sir.
okay. We're out contract. This is our contract for Form 11s. So we send out Form 11s every year. This is the same contract we had last year. Actually, our numbers are the same. I emailed it to you, I think last week for everybody to look over. If you'd like, I'll hand you a copy. If not, you have it.
Dana, you've had opportunity to look over this as well.
I've had a little bit of time to look through it, yes. It is, what just said, the same as what it has been in previous years, so, shouldn't be any, major issues with that.
All right, thank you. Give me just a second to get some, do a few more signatures, and we'll get this approved for you.
You bet.
I'll get you a rubber stamp.
While we're finishing up those signatures, I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve the Worrell Corporation contract for the assessor's office. The amount, let me grab that for you real quick. $9,585.86. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Have a motion by Joel, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Gentlemen, this only requires one signature. So if I have approval of both of you,
Aye.
put that in the basket.
Thank you.
Sir.
That would have that, be sorry, Gary.
Letter of credit for People State Bank, and Sheila has got that ready for us here. And gentlemen, we've already approved this letter of credit. They're asking for about 15 to 20 signatures of mine. So I'm gonna ask a motion to approve, and I'll sign this after the meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve the letter of credit agreement?
I make a motion that you sign the letter of credit appropriation.
I have a motion by Bob. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Joel. All in favor? Aye. Don't let me forget to sign that before I walk out of here, Sheila. Greg, if you don't care, I'm gonna bump you back a notch. You got a lot going on, so, with that being said, I'm gonna ask, Paycor to come on up. Just grab a seat here at the table. Paycor is here to talk to us this morning about time management, payroll, HR, a lot of different avenues. This is actually the fourth time this company has been in Owen County to try to help us out. She presented us with a proposal.
I have extra copies, Gary.
I think I've got anybody would like, the department head would like to see one. This was presented to the council at their meeting on the 13th. The commissioners have discussed this 4 different times. The biggest part of this is our time management. And then, of course, payroll's included, HR. And with that, I'm gonna stop and let Christie give us a quick rundown.
Sure.
We're gonna do a 10, 15 minute at tops because
Okay.
we've already, and then afterwards, I've talked to Christie and she's willing to stay. She's gonna talk to the auditor, she's gonna talk to the treasurer together, any of the department heads that wanna speak with her. She's gonna be here to do that, so we appreciate her being here this morning.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm a little nervous. I've never talked to this many people before. Did you want me to use the screen, or can I just talk
You
through?
can just
Is that
talk if you
okay?
want.
So we have, I'm Christina, I've been with Paycor for 9 years, so I've lived in this software world for a long time. And what we found at Owen County is we're able to provide a solution to really streamline a lot of the processes in regards to time and labor management, grant allocation, and payroll. We do know the LAO system now, we've been down the road to set this system up before. And, so we have a really clear picture of what the project will look like. And the ultimate goal is to help you have, integrity across all departments. Just a clean type of way to clock in and out, request PTO. There's all audit trails in there, so a manager earns PTO, that's an audit trail, or a manager adjusts time, that's an audit trail. And it's really just to keep you in compliance. So, and we see it a lot, and I'm gonna say nonprofit, even though you guys are a public entity, but I work with about 25% of my clients, we've got about 40,000 plus are in this world. We got really good at grant allocation about 6 or 7 years ago, so I know we can do the job really well, and I really appreciate you having me, and I am so open to answer any questions. I brought my laptop. If you want to see the system at all, I'm happy to show you that, and show you how that works, and run through any other questions. Yeah.
Go ahead, you go first.
Go ahead, I was just interrupting, I apologize.
Okay. Do you use biometrics?
We do have that, now we do
What
not.
kind do you use?
We use the fingerprint, the hand scans, we quit selling them about 3 years ago. They're not, they broke a lot on people, so we took those out of our repertoire, or what we provide to people.
So what do you use now?
We have fingerprint, we have badge clocks, we have swipe clocks, we have facial recognition. You can do a mix and match of anything you like. You can even, one thing some of my clients do, a lot of the factories, is they even have like an iPad or a kiosk. And folks can allocate their time to a certain line, or that's how they can clock in. So they can clock in, and especially for what you do in government and the grant allocation and fund accounting, that doesn't tend to make sense for most of those people. Good question.
Chris, I'm gonna stop you just a second. Polly just walked in. She's President County Council. This is Christie from Paycor. Just got up and got started. I'm gonna give you a quick update.
Do you have one of these?
Yeah, let me.
It's probably basically the same thing as we give you the other night.
It is, I just wanted to have extra copies just in case. Yeah.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are people, required to have either a phone or access to a computer to use the system?
The people processing payroll will need a computer or a phone, but no, employees aren't required to have a phone. If they don't, that is okay. We can still print check stubs and all of that stuff, you can print that in-house.
I'm curious about entering time.
Oh, sure, if you want them to, we can, but really with the clocks, they aren't gonna need a phone.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Mark, so you know, and if you don't have one of these quotes, but we've got 8 time clocks figured into this system right now. We may need to adjust that. They are electronic. And again, I'm not here to take over her presentation. I just want to bring everybody up to date a little bit. We currently have a card system that gets our employees that have those in and out of the courthouse. There's a security bar down there and they scan their card and it unlocks the door. This is a similar process with the timekeeping. They will have a card to their person, identified to them.
And I think it's safe to say, Gary, as well, that this, with very few exceptions, there'll be no clocking in remotely. This is gonna prevent that in the event of, for
With the
instance,
exception of the sheriff's
a
department.
sheriff's department and possibly a highway superintendent or assistant superintendent, due in part because of their call-out status. And know that you're gonna have to be here to clock in and you're gonna have to be here to clock out.
One more from the public and then I'm gonna let some of our employees ask for.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Sherry.
So, I do payroll for the EMS department, and what would my role look like after this is installed?
Yeah, so you would get that time file, everybody's clocked in and out, their managers have reviewed the time file to make sure that things correct. You would get that, it will populate into a grid, and you would process your payroll, we take care of all the taxes, and we cut the checks, and direct deposit, all of that good stuff.
Okay, so they're not gonna be required to be direct deposited, they'll actually be checks?
That's up to that's up to you guys, so most of my
We're
clients
direct
require
deposit.
direct deposit, I will say.
Yeah.
Most of my clients do, however, we still have some that don't, we have 3 processing centers in Cincinnati and Kansas City and Jacksonville that send them out. Yeah, good question.
What does it cost?
Yeah, so what we're looking at is right around 34 grand a year, and that's based off of 200 employees, I believe. Actually, sorry, that's 150 employees.
But we do have over 200 employees.
Okay, you do have, so
those are-
this will not change, it's just a per employee per month. And you do not pay for people that are terminated or have been let go. We naturally, to keep you compliant, must house that information, so you still will be able to report on that. However, you only pay for who's active and get paid.
And Chris, you have on here, first quarter promotion of a discount, which puts this thing down to just a little below 30,000.
Yes, I made a small typo, guys, so it's supposed to be 223, but I'm gonna hold on to this for you guys. I did a promotion because I was able to get one from my finance team, because we didn't include clocks last time, and I wanted to keep the cost the same, so that it was easier for you guys. So, yes, I am able to do that.
Greg, Dusty, any other department heads? Again, I know we've discussed this some, but I know that at the last meeting, Matt, Ryan, Donna, all were concerned, especially with the larger departments, literally taking, 2 hours, 3 hours to figure time off of time sheets or time cards and then process it again, and then it comes here. I'm assuming that those concerns are still there. I know you said you had it, it's a time issue for your department.
Absolutely, I don't have a whole bunch of employees, but it is a time management help. I think this is a huge benefit for the county, even if we're kind of working through whatever it looks like, this is a necessity.
Can you idea when it would go into effect, when it would start?
Yeah, so we typically, so for you guys, we can get you up and running by May, which is what it would look like. And that's if we executed agreements today, this month, and then we would go ahead and start that implementation kickoff, you're very familiar. And so we would wanna get you started by May. But the good news is, for you guys, we already started this process. So I already have a lot of your information. Now, we will have to do another data extraction to get, the most recent. However, we already know the workings really well. We know LAO, we know what LAO can and cannot accept. So we've already got a really good project plan lined out.
I do have just kind of a side note question. So, as a department head, is this a web-based thing, so we can log into it from anywhere and check this stuff and?
Bingo. And actually, it's an app too.
That's
So
great.
most of my department heads for situations like this, they'll see someone, maybe missed a punch, they'll get a critical error. It comes right to their app, I can correct that, audit trails there, everyone knows what's going on. Let's have
So
it.
they're getting notifications, so I know
Bingo.
it'll tell me, let's say, I won't be here Friday.
Mm-hmm,
Everybody in my office, from home, I can tell that everybody's there and when they get there
bingo,
and when they leave.
bingo. You will have a snapshot of that all the time.
How amazing would
Real
that
time.
be?
It was a big deal after actually the FedEx shooting, because, they couldn't release who was shot, because they didn't have time records of who was on staff that day,
Yeah,
which is terrible. People were waiting out there forever.
And folks, I'm gonna, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
We're
it's
gonna,
perfect.
I wanna touch on that point. I wanna touch on that to our elected officials sitting out there, some of our department heads. I don't want to micromanage anyone, but I feel it's really important that every employee, including elected officials, swipe something just because of what she said. If we have an active shooter in this building, we have a fire, and somebody's husband or wife calls me and says, hey, did Sally show up for work today? Is she okay? I can't answer that. That's the worst thing in the world that I'd ever have to want to do. And I know that these guys feel the same way. And again, it's not for time management. I'm sure Dusty would have no problem swiping a card saying, hey, I'm in the building. Because again, if your wife calls me and wants to know if you're safe, I have no idea.
No idea.
So that's something that I think that we need to look at as well. Again, not to manage those people, their salary, they're elected, but the comings and goings is very important. And she just touched on it right there with the Federal Express situation.
It was terrible. And I hate to sell my product on that, but it's very true.
Sure. Greg, do you have anything? I know you had a question about the 2-hour show up time for after hours employees.
Right, and we just need to know how this is going to be put into effect, but, my guys get a 2-hour call in, no matter what, but now only a 2-hour call in, once they don't get it if they go over that, it's just.
Just 2 hours.
If it's just 2 hours, if they get called in, we just need to know how to manage that, and a lot of times, I get calls directly from Central Dispatch that says at 2 o'clock in the morning, I need someone, and I call them out from home in the middle of the night, so
Okay,
they don't physically go in and punch the clock because they go home with a truck and a saw or whatever.
sure, yeah, my husband owns a commercial roofing company, we do the same. So, very simple, we can do this kind of a variety of ways. You could technically allow those guys to clock that, and it wouldn't be clock time in and time out, because 2 hours doesn't matter, but they could at least allocate it to that labor code, and then when it comes to payroll, they know to add that earning code for those 2 hours. But if you don't want them to clock in or out, that's a simple enter into the system. Yeah, and that will be its own earning code, no matter what, 2 hours. So I don't know how you feel about that, that would be probably your decision if you want them to verify that on a device or a
Well,
time
those
sheet.
calls actually come in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
or early morning, straight to myself or Chad, so
Okay.
I would rather clock them in than have them do that.
Okay, oh, well, you know what, we can do it that way too. We can have you do that as well. That's very easy.
Right?
So there's a
Yeah.
couple, there's a couple variety of ways we could do this. You can also alert them through the app, but it probably, in emergencies like that, it's probably easier to call them. That's a good question. We have a lot, in anything on call, things like that, we go with that a lot.
EMS has that as well.
Uh-huh.
Squad 3, yeah.
No matter what, if you're on call, you get paid, yeah.
And I've asked a lot of these questions already, and she's answered them for me. And again, there's an audit trail for all this stuff. Every elected official or department head who is over their department would be the administrator over that particular. So you would control that if you want to. You would be as well. And then again, if we wanted to put administrators, as in Polly, myself, whoever, on there as well, we could do an audit and say, okay, let's check these times. Let's see who's doing what. And we've got that authority to do that. And I think that that's important as well. There'll be some policy changes because we do not have a time in, time out system now. Those will be adjusted. And with that, I'm gonna let the attorney touch base real quick on some of the advantages of this, and then we'll stop and she can answer questions after the meeting.
So, of course, an obvious advantage is just the fact that for the cost, we're going to be saving so much in time of our department heads in compiling this information. It's gonna be done for them. They'll be able to access it as they wish, so that following the paper trail is much more difficult that we have. A big benefit, I believe, on the legal side of things is the correct tracking of the time. There are instances, a lot of employment lawsuits are around an employee not getting paid for all the time that they had actually put in. So this is a way to make sure that that does not happen, because they're clocking in and clocking out, and so their time will be counted. Sometimes, unfortunately, there's employees who take advantage of a written system and are not actually at their workstation or working when they say they are, and so this will eliminate that. So whenever that does happen, and I hope it doesn't happen very much, probably doesn't, but if it does happen, that is a cost to the county, where they're paying for somebody who is not doing their job. And so, again, I would hope that that's very, very few individuals would ever do that, but again, if it saves you on both sides of that, making sure that the employees are getting paid exactly what it is that they earn. So they're not getting paid too less because they filled out the timesheet wrong or something like that. And they're not getting too much because they're getting clocked in and clocked out. So in the audit trail, the electronic audit trail is just such a benefit to go back. It's so easy to track any one individual. If you need to say, okay, you know, this person saying they work more, let's check it out. It's a quick check. It's not going through all the paperwork with the cards and everything to do that. So the benefit in time for department heads especially is going to be, I think, tremendous. And so the cost doesn't, you know, I think a system like this pretty much pays for itself.
Could you explain the HR component just a little bit, please?
Yeah, good question. So now, since we naturally house all the employees' data, right, we've got their address, their phone number, they have really what you would look in a filing cabinet, an HR file in the system. So with that, what we're able to do is if they wanna make any changes, they wanna change their address, that needs to, you know, what is your approval process? That needs to go to my department head and then HR to change it, or whatever it might be. We can build all of those different workflows. In addition, we can track certifications. If there are any licenses, we need to track those, and they're coming up for expiration, the system will auto alert you. Auto alert manager, auto alert the employee. So the alerting features and keeping a pulse on the workforce is very important. And what the best part of it is that we take the time data, the HR data, the payroll data, then we're able to give you predictive analytics. So we can look and forecast, okay, looking at these managers, this one had the most overtime, or this department had the most overtime here, why? Or we had OSHA incidents related to overtime, or whatever it might be, we can give you the analytics to at least really dive into that and make critical decisions. Good question.
Sheila, you got some questions? She's the big part of all of this, and I know she'll have more.
And I know we're meeting later on, the primary concerns again that were there when we did this 2 years ago was with the treasurer's office and the transition with the banking. There is no direct access to the bank as of right now. That's part of the conversations we need to have. And there's quite a few things that are in here that we're already paying Lyle to do in our contract with them, so those adjustments will need to be made. So there are some changes that might need to be made following conversation with all the department heads and the input from everybody, but we would still have the commissioners' March 6th meeting to come back if we need to change any part of that before it goes to the council at their March 13th meeting. Good pros and cons with everything, and again, just understanding them, and that's what I want, is to be able to one-on-one go through them and say where we're at versus what we are doing or what we have. Those adjustments, council just give us a full-time person, and I'm looking at this and thinking we might not need that position. I know I need backup in there with that, so that's a whole nother conversation. We need to get through this and make sure what we're doing. I don't wanna waste the county's money. I don't wanna do anything that is going to cause further things down the line. I was really glad to hear that you now know Loud and the compatibility that'll be there. I think everybody is in agreement, and at the council meeting too, time management is the primary issue through everything, and everything that you explained and the majority that's on here, it's just fine tuning and are we just talking time clocks? Are we talking, again, our checking and banking accounts and payroll issues and payroll itself and what my staff will still be required to do outside of this? So those are just my concerns, and adjustments might need to be made, and And I don't wanna pay for something on here if we're already doing it elsewhere, or if it has to adapt, then that's other changes that they have to look at in the contracts as well, so.
And one of those that we talked about briefly before you came this morning, we just recently paid an extra, I don't remember what it was, $300, $800 for W-2s through Lao. You offer that in your service as well, and I don't even think, I give us $200 maybe or less.
Yeah, they're not, that's for everybody, they're not that expensive.
Right, and so in my opinion, if we're going to have a payroll company, we would drop the agreement with Lao and the W-2 and use that. There's no sense in paying for
They
both.
probably like it too, cause they can get the W-2 on their phone and print it. You
Right.
know, like they get it right away. They probably would like that. I don't know if Lau does that.
Yeah, so just a couple of minor things, and
Okay.
we're not talking thousands of dollars, it's just, and like Sheila said, there's some of it that overlaps, and we'll go through that's possibly fixable. I personally don't have any other questions or concerns. Like I said, this is the fourth time that I've had meetings with Lau here in Owen County. Commissioners?
We've talked about it, Gary, I'm 100% on board, let's get this out of the county and save some money in doing so.
Another thing before we make a motion to go ahead and go forward with this, without any burden to the county, the taxpayers, the county council, we have the funding through ARPA that we can pay for this that does not hurt the budget any way, shape, or form, and takes any money out of the taxpayer's pocket. So that is a huge benefit. So with this motion, it literally is a proposal to use ARPA funds, and I'm gonna make this motion now, that we use ARPA funds to move forward with the pay, core proposal, time management and payroll service, with the approval of, the county council's acceptance on the 13th, that we move forward with this. So I'm gonna make that motion. I'm gonna ask for a second.
Second.
Got a second by Bob, motion by myself, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for being so kind to me. This was my first time in this setting.
So if, anybody would like to talk to Christie afterwards, I know Sheila's got a cut out today at 12:30 for her husband, so we need to get.
I'm here
with
for
her.
you, so you let me know.
Okay, and if you want, you can sit outside or you can sit in here and listen, whatever you want to do the rest of the time here.
I mean, it's very interesting, so I'm learning a thing or two.
Jen, who they calling? Right.
So I guess that covers our payroll proposal and our ARPA funds. Excuse me, I'm gonna make one more with the ARPA funds. I had brought this up in front of the council at their last meeting, and it had been presented this by the sheriff's department. For those that aren't aware, we've got a couple of canines that are retiring this year, one of them very soon, and another one a few months down the road. Those dogs are $6,000 a piece, and it's $6,000 a piece to train them. We're fortunate enough, one of those dogs that is retiring has got a 1-year-old pup to the officer, so that's gonna save us $6,000. So what I would like to propose is, and again, I've already kind of ran this by the council, I know that most of them were in favor of that, is that we use ARPA funds, again, in a proposal to help the sheriff's department with these canines and training at a cost of $18,000. Do I hear a motion to approve that? One of those issues, before I finish that up, Dana is working on an agreement with that officer that has the 1-year-old dog that's willing to donate it to the county, basically, no cost to us other than training. And then he has put together, I guess you want to say, an amortization schedule of somewhat. If that officer leaves or quits, he reimburses the county or so on and so forth. So I'll let him touch on that real quick.
Yeah, just to protect the county, if the officer were to leave immediately after the dog was trained, for instance, that would be a loss to the county. So there'll be clauses in there to protect the county where for a certain period of time, and it'll drop off over time. I believe it was 3 years we talked about that if the officer leaves before the 3-year period, depending on how long it is, there'll be a different amount that would be due back to the county. And also, there's an agreement that the dog would not be used for the same purpose for anyone else, unless that time period had expired as well. So it's a great way to protect the county, and it's a great benefit for the cost of the dog. The 2 retiring dogs will be surplus, but because of the special nature of these dogs, they have no value to anyone else. Actually, they're so bound to their handler that they probably would not be a good fit for anyone else. So they would be surplus as, hate to say it like this, but it's true, worthless property. And then they can be given to their handler. So that would be the process of doing that. Again, declaring the dogs as surplus, as worthless surplus, and then having them go to their handlers, which is by far the most common thing done anywhere. State police does it too, so it's.
Yeah, those dogs stay with their handlers for the remaining of their life, and they found out in the past with studies, you try to use these animals as pets to someone else, and bad things normally happen. So it's best that they stay with the people that's taking care of them and raising them. I will, just in case anybody looks at fund lines, excuse me, there is $9,000 in a fund line at the sheriff department for canine. That funds are used for food, veterinarian, so on and so forth. So we're trying to relieve that fund by using ARPA funds. Again, and that doesn't affect the county budget in any way, shape, or form. So with that being said, do I hear a motion to approve the ARPA canine proposal?
Make a motion to approve the ARPA K-9 proposal.
I have a motion by Joel. Do I hear a second?
What we're doing, we're donating,
$18,000 of ARPA funds.
so, okay, I second that.
Okay, got a second by Bob. All in favor? Aye. All right, highway. Greg's on the phone here. That's all we have left, I guess.
Do the letter of credit for bank, couldn't we?
Yeah, we already did that. I can start signing it, I guess.
Oh, that's all in there?
Yeah.
Have some, just FYI, copies in your folder. I'll run through those real quick while we're waiting on Greg. There was the EDC access flyer that Marcy sent, the IDIM town permit, just again, it's an FYI to the commissioners. A copy of the current proactive MD, report, and, the only one I had a question on was the Misty Morning Campground letter when we get down to me. Greg's ready.
All right, highway. Looks like we have
several bids to open, today, commissioners. Would report that, graders are running in all districts right now. We are doing some ditching work down in the, Jefferson Township area. Right now, working on Griffith Road. We just completed a project on Kelly. Hot Box is working, every day. This time of year, it's cold mix, not asphalt. We are working on road inventory. We have made leaps and bounds. We started in Clay Township, and I will start providing information to Dana in regard to road inventory and recertification next week, and come before you for research on the roads your following meeting.
Hopefully we can increase our revenues.
Yes. We had a meeting with the insurance carrier yesterday in regard to workman's comp. I think they met with the whole county, and we did go over policies and procedures at the highway department. Would report, since we worked with John Parley, things have seemed to improve, and out of the carrier that was there, that may, give a quote, he was pleased with the highway department and the policies that we have in place.
Excellent.
Okay, commissioners, that's all I have other than my bids today.
I think we've got one bridge and,
There's one for the bridge. There are two for each of the projects. The Hillcrest Road project, the Combs Road project, and the community crossing paving projects. So they're,
let's start with the bridge, since there's just the one.
all of these are sealed, and being opened at this time, starting with, this is the Rattlesnake Road, bridge number 52, over Rattlesnake Creek. And the one bid is, the bid amount is $462,975. Itemized, revetment riprap is $23 a ton, and 12-inch steel shelf piles are $55 a foot. And this bid is from CLR. To save time, I'll go through and make sure all the documentation is in place, but, you know, making sure the name of the company and the bid amount is what's important. But we do need to make sure that all the documentation is present in these bids, so.
With that being said, since it's just the one bridge, let's go ahead and hear highway comment and how we want to proceed.
Commissioners, I would ask that, you reject this bid. I have, spoken with different bridge builders. We tried a new process, to put out a design and build that we believed that would cost us less money, and it, other counties are using this, process. I don't see that it benefited us. We got, one bid, and, I think that it is rather high. So, I'd like for the commissioners to allow me to, get with the engineer that we've used before. We will design the bridge that we want, we'll put that out.
Well, not only that, Greg, I agree with what you're saying, and this total right here is more than our Cume Bridge fund.
Yes,
So we can't even fund it.
right.
So with that being said, do I hear a motion to reject the, bid for Bridge 52?
Make a motion to reject bid, number 52 Rattlesnake Road.
Do I hear a second? Got a motion by Joel, seconded by Bob. All in favor? Aye. All right, Danny.
Okay.
And commissioners, I will say I'll go right, to work on this, and we'll get this done because we need to get this bridge back out for bid. I just think this is unreasonable.
Okay. We will take your recommendation.
Will that come back to you guys before it's advertised in that whole process again, or is he just gonna go ahead and re-advertise?
That's a good question.
I just need to know who's advertising, that's all.
I mean, I have no problem with you going ahead and re-advertising it if you want to put it back out there, if you're ready to do that. I mean,
I
the
need,
specs are there.
I need to speak with the engineer first, and I'll speak with Dana, and then we'll,
Okay,
Yeah, so
so
that,
you can bring that back to us on our meeting on the 6th.
yes.
Okay.
next, we have, bids for the Hillcrest Road and Hillcrest Drive, projects. There are bids from both Milestone and E&B Paving. Opening Milestone still bids first. Project 1, Hillcrest subdivision, the price per ton laid is $95.25. The estimated tonnage is 780 tons of surface and 389 tons of wedge level. Total price, $111,347.25. Again, you can make sure they have all of the proper forms. Okay, the price per ton laid would be $90.95. Again, was 780 tons for surface and 389 wedge level, for a total price of $106,320.55. And again, that is from E&B Paving.
The first one.
Milestone.
Next up is the bid for the Combs Road project. The opening E&B paving proposal first this time. Okay, this is for the bid from Front Street to, Fowler Road?
Fiddler.
Fiddler, okay, yes, it's handwritten in there, so, yes, so, Front Street to Fiddler Road. Price, per ton laid is $80.70. The estimated tonnage for this project, which of course is the same for both bidders, is 2,182 tons of surface and 1,091 tons of wedge level. The total price of this project from E&B Paving is a total of $264,131.10. That's E&B Paving. Next for that project is from Milestone. For Milestone, the price per ton laid is $79.50. Again, the tonnage is as stated before. So the total price for Milestone is $260,203.50. Okay. Moving on to the Community Crossings paving program. The opening of E&B Paving first. And E&B Paving cost for this project is $960,563.77.
Dana, could you break those roads down, please?
Yes.
960,563. Greg, help me on these. Fiddler Road's one,
We're Steubenville and Concord.
Concord, yeah.
Okay, so, Steubenville Road, the price, this is, Keith Road to State Road 246. Price ton, per ton laid, $79.25. This particular project is 2,882 tons of surface, 1,411 tons of wedge level. So the total price for Steubenville Road is $340,220.25. Next, we have County Road 350 East. This is to Concord Road, and the price per ton laid is $75. The estimated tonnage is 874.1 tons of surface, 437 tons of wedge level. So the total price for this project would be $98,332.50. Next, there's a section of Concord Road from County Road 350 East to Williams Road. This price per ton laid is $75. Tonnage 3,060.5 for surface and 1,530.2 for wedge level. So the total price is $344,302.50. Fiddler Road, one section from Tower Road to Combs Road. The price per ton laid is $84.25, with the estimated tonnage of this project being 1,406.2 for surface and 703.1 for wedge level. The total price, $177,708.52. So that is the four projects that are make up the total. Next is from Milestone. This is the final bid. Their total project cost is $967,902.44. For the Steubenville Road project, the tonnage mentioned earlier, price per ton laid is $80.75 for a total price of $346,659.75. For the County Road 350 East to Concord Road project, again with the tonnages as stated before, price per ton laid is $76.85 for the total price of $100,758.04. For the Concord Road project, the price per ton is $76.85. For the total price of $352,795.30. And for the Fiddler Road section, as described before, the price per ton laid is $79.50 for a total price of $167,689.35.
Thank you, Dan.
May I see that, Dave?
Greg, I'm gonna let you decide if you want to make decisions on these today, or if you want to come back for a special meeting to approve. Am I hearing these numbers right? We are below our granted grant.
Yes,
That's outstanding.
yes, they're good numbers. Commissioners, I would like to get under contract with CCMG Roads today because we've got a certain amount of time to get under contract from the time that those have been granted. I would ask on the ARPA fund roads, I know that the, prices came in lower, but, it is ARPA money. I would like to check those funds and ask that you set that either out for a special meeting or the next meeting to decide,
I think we could do that till March sixth meeting. They're not ready to, asphalt plants aren't even up and running, so.
So I would ask that we be able to set, the ARPA roads out so we know that exact figures.
Gentlemen have any problems or concerns with that?
No.
Okay.
Commissioners, do you have anybody else to see but me?
At this time, no, we're down to, elected official comments, public comments. If you wanna step out for a few minutes, go right ahead, and we'll wrap up the meeting and, wait for you to come back. Okay. Do you have any public comments this morning? Jeff, again, the new policy is to state your name and address.
3 minutes.
In 3 minutes, yeah, I got that. Jeff Larson, as before, I wrote my address down on the sheet, okay? So anyway, I have 3 quick items, I'll be as brief as I can be. The first item relates to, there was a very serious, medical situation on Fish Creek Road 2 Saturdays ago. And I'll just leave it at that. All the medical gear showed up, and then somebody in a red truck showed up. I think it might have been Chris, I don't know, okay? With flashers on, and, you know, the normal car flashers. I am curious if, and it wasn't obviously an emergency vehicle. I'm curious as to what the code is for a person who is essentially on duty, but using their own personal vehicle in terms of their use of warning lights, if you will. Now, of course, we got over, no problem, but I'm just worried about, I'm concerned about that. Mr. Lunsford actually happens to be a volunteer fire person, so I think he could have put his blue lights up there, but I don't know. I don't even know if it was Chris, but somebody was coming up there. That's the first item. Second item relates to the fact that it would be really great if you guys would come to the legislative breakfast next month. I've been emphasizing the need for more county funding for roads. And it'd be really great if you guys would show up as well. But if you can't, you can't. I will say, and this is not a matter of criticism, this is a matter of observation. I could geolocate the chuck holes in Fish Creek Road and never have to call them in again, because every year they're still there, the same ones. The good pavement is good, the bad pavement is bad. And I think it's a little bit of a waste of county money, although I know we can't do anything different. It's a little bit of a waste of county money to keep patching those same places over and over and over again. So we need help from the state, okay? So please do that. That's all I got. I think I got even another 3 minutes.
Thank you, Jeff.
I can respond on the truck, if you mind.
Go right ahead, Joel.
We can't control who shows up at accident sites, whether it be, relatives or otherwise, sightseers, rubberneckers. We cannot do that. Until we know, and to the best of my knowledge, Owen County does not have a red response vehicle other than a fire type vehicle. So this may very well have been a civilian, family member, whatnot.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's nothing we can do about that. I would hope, and as far as I know, Chris doesn't own a red truck.
I don't think so.
So, you know, what you had was a rubbernecker or a family member for sure, and that we cannot control. Okay? If it's a county vehicle and it's responding to a situation, it better be lit, and if it's not, we'll ensure that it is and be labeled accordingly. So while that's a great observation, I doubt very seriously it was one of our people.
All right, we'll talk. Thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Anyone else in the public? All right, Madam Auditor.
I ran off, real quick, the others already. Again, it was the ED's access flyer from Marcy, proactive report. The only other thing in your packets was the Misty Morning Campground. It has maintenance, it also has some, it looks like Suzanne's ends on there. I didn't know if you wanted to have Dana review it, like Greg, asking for different things, and responsible for road maintenance was the first thing, but then they started asking about addresses and was the parcel up for sale and wants a mailbox.
I think Greg's working on those issues right now without, in different townships, so I think that we'll address that issue. So we'll leave it in Greg's hands until further notice.
Okay. Can I speak, Commissioners?
Go right ahead.
Commissioners, I am going to ask you to set a special meeting to give me time to go over these contracts, even the CCMG. If it would be possible to set it before the March 6th meeting, it wouldn't take long. I'm just going to be quite blunt. There needs to be some issues worked out with the lowest bidder. The lowest bidder has done work in Owen County before, but we've had issues, but they've had to go out and be repaired, and citizens have been unhappy. Therefore, I need to consult with Dana a little bit in regard to that. Both come in under budget, so we're good with both. But there's just some things that I need to discuss with the county attorney before we can move forward.
And I know exactly what you're talking about and what we're dealing with, and I totally understand. With that being said, Sheila, what is our next opportunity for a special meeting? That's a 48-hour posting, correct?
It's up to you guys, obviously not this week, I would say next week sometime, so.
So
whatever
Tuesday of
you guys
next week,
That's fine.
that work?
Need to
Yes.
post it.
And let's do that 1 or 2 o'clock I mean, literally, that shouldn't take 30 minutes, and that way we're not working over and people aren't staying late and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
Is that okay?
yes.
Tuesday,
1 o'clock,
1 o'clock Tuesday,
the February 28th.
20, is that all right with you, gentlemen?
Yeah.
And Greg, since we're gonna do that, I would like to resolve all of these bids at that time.
Yes, thank you.
That way we're under contract, everything's done, the highway projects are good to go.
Did you say 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock here in the commissioner's room, correct? Good point.
February 28th, great.
And I don't know about you gentlemen, I just soon do the ARPA and the community crossing to all during that meeting. That way we're not bringing the issue back to the table.
Right, right.
That'll give you time to work out your pricing and see how much is left in those budget lines.
Yeah, and we're good with the ARPA, Commissioners, but I just know we're under budget, so I just want to know exactly where we're at with those things.
Right. Well, and hopefully we can stretch some more dollars somewhere. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. That's good news for the taxpayers. Okay, I think we're down to, sorry, gentlemen, I lost my sheet here. Commissioners' comments. Attorney comments first, I'm sorry about that.
Okay. Just briefly, both the Owen County Board of Zoning Appeals and the Owen County Advisory Plan Commission have each adopted rules of procedure for their board commission. Those were a work in progress over several months' time. I did make sure that they were aligned with the statute and our zoning ordinance as it currently exists. So those were approved. So it's glad that they have those. Both entities were very happy to receive them and to help guide them through their processes. Also, the long rezone was before the Advisory Plan Commission last night, and they have certified findings of the Plan Commission with, there's actually 2 parcels that make up, this property. And, they are, requesting that the Board of Commissioners, look at this and they're giving it a favorable recommendation. So we'll have, those findings for, the board and an ordinance, on March 6th. For the court case that this is associated with, as long as we have, the rezone completed by March 31st, we're meeting, our obligations in that settlement.
Outstanding. So we will get that on our March 6th agenda and then move forward with that. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody in the elected officials or department heads. Is there anybody out there that had comments, concerns? No one? Okay. Now, Commissioner comments. Bob, you had something?
Well, I just,
I think Dana stole your
that ordinance, Dana kind of answered it for me.
Joel?
I do not. Only comments I have, well, actually I do then. Kudos out again to the highway department. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from, District 3 on the, condition of the roads. So again, the personnel increase out there, and thanks Greg, thanks Chad, thank your guys. It's making a big difference.
We're actually getting good feedback, and that is passed on to the guys. And
I hope it is.
Passed on to them personally.
I hope it is, because
On the project and job.
getting a lot of feedback. We do need to, however, Greg, I wanna bring up the fact, and if you don't mind, I will put you on the spot. We discussed this before, that we need to review, some ordinance as far as, horseshoes on our roads. It was brought to my attention, and I've also noted that a section of freshly paved road is already beginning to show, distress from this. Is that a fair statement, Greg?
Yeah, Commissioner Lowe and I have talked, with the other commissioners and Dana, in regard to this, and, we're speaking specifically about, a section of Denmark Road that was recently paved. And I believe that some of the issues, the products that are being used on the bottom of, the horseshoes on that road. And so everyone knows there's more than just the Amish community that use our roadways, with horse-drawn vehicles.
That's fact.
You know, and I can say myself being one of them. But other communities have rules in regard, to these kind of implements on the roadway, for everyone. And, as far as going, and buying a license plate for a nominal fee for, that horse-drawn vehicle, which goes into the motor vehicle fund. To ordinances in regard to what time of year a certain product could be on the bottom of that horseshoe. And I do believe, and I mean, Ryan isn't here, but I mean, he seemed to be on board and helped, volunteered to help do some research, so it seems to me as if though our new sheriff is on board with, enforcing that, and I'm not speaking for him, but.
It's the conversation.
That's where it would come from, so I think, if we had those ordinances, I think something could be accomplished, but we have to, protect our assets, and, gentlemen, it's just a new community, really, that are using these roads heavy, and they'll follow the rules, they follow the rules in every other community in which they live. And whoever else besides the Amish community, that has a horse-drawn vehicle on the road should have to do the same thing. And it comes down to, you know, nighttime driving and lighting, and shoes and et cetera.
Well, I think one of the important things is, Greg, is the fact that we document who owns the particular wagon in the event of an accident. We've had one accident on Denmark Road.
We have.
Should we stumble across an accident, we don't know who's in that buggy. We don't know who it belongs to. It puts us at a disadvantage to notify family members or whatever the case, but if there's a registry of these, it's easier not to track anybody, for heaven's sake, but to understand who they are and protect the roads that we're trying to get.
I'll go as far as to say, and I know Commissioner Lowe, this was suggested to us by our new Amish community. It isn't something that we were imposing, we were actually saying, you need to do this.
Yes.
Well, that would be under the registration when you put the plates on the wagon, that'd tell you whose it is, what.
Yeah, and they're doing a great job lighting, but you don't know who you're passing or who it is, and I think it's just a wise thing, that way we can help maintain our roads a little bit better, and I know they're on board with it.
Yes, they are.
Sounds like we'll have the attorney pursue other avenues. in
Martin
counties.
County, I think is what Sheriff White brought up, Davies County would be where I would.
I've got extensive research with deities, they're the closest to us, and again, Sheriff might do someone in Martin.
Yeah. And, because it's, my understanding is there's gonna be 20 or 30 more families coming out in my area this year alone, so.
Yes.
And when they do, they come in a hurry, like literally the houses go up in days and they're there.
Anything else?
That's it.
I'm gonna add to your comments a little bit about road issues. We had a situation last week, out on Dillman Road and Country Club, that we had a logging outfit come in and basically just destroy these two roads. I spoke to the owner, Greg spoke to the owner. The tax-paying citizens out there were livid. 2 years ago, we paved Dillman Road with millings, recycled material, but still yet a road that hadn't been touched in 25 years. We finally got it repaired and it's back to rubble and mud.
Yes.
The attorney's been out there and took a look at it. We have got to address these issues with road bonds for these entities. Again, farmers are exempt. It's a huge part of our community. And I'm not trying to stop anybody from making money. And I told the taxpayers out there that I could not do that, but we can protect their rights and their tax dollars when it comes to their roads. So we need to address that issue as well. From the attorney's standpoint, if we need to look at some past issues that we've had bonds with or other counties that have these, but we definitely have to address this. We've got a road out there now. I'm not sure what we're gonna do with it. But we owe it to those people out there to put it back like it was. And I think that we're going to do our best to go after these folks that did it. I know that Dana's been involved. Whether that's gonna happen or not, I can't guarantee that. So anyway, I think that's an area that we need to address as well, and it's not just in that section of the county, it's countywide. Joel had the same issue out there in his district. They just had repaired a road out there and they destroyed it within a couple of days with log
Well, they were
trucks.
working on it, but they decided to go through Clay County, and, that brings up a good point. I've been told Owen County doesn't require a bond, for
We do
logging
not.
operations, and that needs to change. Simple example right here.
Well, we need to go to the road bond, and then there needs to be a driveway access to each one of these log landings where the trucks are going in and out. Needs to be a culvert placed. They could remove it, but it needs to happen. Yes, it will be a permit. Yes, it will have to follow my office, but if we don't, then we're just gonna keep destroying these roads.
And Jeff, you've probably had the same problem. I see you shaking your head, and I know there's been logging out there off Fish Creek in years past, and that's part of the problem out
This
there.
got done with a big operation, and yes, that would help. And I'll just say, Brown County has a bonding ordinance, so if you're looking for a bonding ordinance, that might be. I've not looked at it, but just so you know, Brown, I don't know.
Well, and
I think it's a good idea.
that's part of the governing system. We're lucky that we can lean on other counties for advice and help. We do it every day in every department here. I know the highway does. I know Sheila's, gets on the auditor's webs or the chat page, and they're back and forth all the time. And so we need to take advantage of those. But this is a huge issue right here. We had an 8-ton limit on this road, and they were running 80,000-pound trucks down it. And the guy told Greg he didn't see the sign. Well, you can see that sign from 100 yards away. It's right there.
History.
Yeah, so they come into our county with no regard to us as tax-paying citizens or our county government. So we definitely need to put our thumb down on this thing and fix it.
I think that's a good statement about you're not trying to keep them from making money. Our Anderson Road's a prime, you know, Greg and them had just fixed it really good, and a logging company come out and they hit the gravel road and the paved road both. And there's a new owner of the property and he's fixed the ingress, egress and what should have been done by them. So I totally agree that, you know, we're spending money, we're spending good money just to go back and redo things, so.
On this particular incident on Dillman Road, this company was given an alternate route by myself, and, the moment that we were out of sight, they went back to what they were doing, so.
And I called the sheriff department 2 different times to go out there and finally had to call DNR. And I said, write them tickets. I don't care what we do. If they're breaking the law with the tonnage, speed limit issues, whatever it is, but we've got to stop it. And Greg is correct. He gave them an alternative route out a gravel road that came out maybe a couple of miles down 67 from where they were coming in and out originally. And the owner, 2 days later, Greg told him this on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. And on Monday or Tuesday, I talked to this owner and he said, well, where does that come out at? Which told me he hadn't been using that route at all. Totally ignored Greg's orders and request. So again, and then that's when Dana went out, so.
And I have been working on a logging permit and bonding, ordinance for us to try to ensure that these kind of things don't happen. There is a state statute, as well as mineral extraction. You cannot, stop a landowner from harvesting timber, but you can put reasonable restrictions on it. And so
This
I've been looking into
community in the logging industry, and I will tell you that I would, say 95% of them, if we wanted to talk with them, would come in and sit down with us and have a discussion on what they think needs to be done, because most abide by the rules. What in general happens when a company outside of our borders come in, but our own citizens that do that for a living seem to be good stewards.
Yeah, there's been several Court of Appeals cases regarding this issue, and so far they've been favorable to reasonable restrictions, so.
All right, well, with that being said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Bob, all in favor? Aye. Department heads that are here, Sherry, Greg, if you want us to talk to Christie out there further, she's here to do so. And I suggest